Hi everybody, welcome to a special edition of TV Talk with Natasha and Kim, where we're going to talk about Almost Human. And today we have a special guest. She has an Almost Human podcast on DVMPE, Shawn Alexander. Hi, Shawn.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
So, the two-night premiere of Almost Human. And what did you guys think? I thought, personally, that it was the bomb. I'm really excited about it. But I am eager to find out what you guys thought about it. Shawn, you want to go first?
Okay, well, I'm sure you know that I've been talking about this since, like, April. So I have been excited since April about the show coming on. I actually watched it in July at Comic-Con. I watched it again in October at New York Comic-Con. I was invited to go see it in Chicago, and that was all before it actually premiered on, you know, for the rest of the world. And I was so excited when this came on. I was a huge fan. I loved it. And just the fact that we didn't have to wait to see the second episode already was great. And I try not to squee because Karl Urban and Michael Ealy, they were just fabulous, and I love them. And I think we've talked about this just in general. I am such a huge fan of Karl Urban. It's basically, when I heard he was in, I was, you know, all over the show. I didn't care if it turns out horrible. I wanted to see it.
So you got to see what we saw yesterday back at Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con?
Yeah, they had the pilot. They didn't show the second episode, but I'd seen the pilot a couple times already.
Oh, that's cool. And so, you know what's funny about Karl Urban? Every time I see him, I think of Cupid from Xena, because that's where I know him from. I used to watch Xena and Hercules, and he was Cupid on there. It's funny, I had a little crush on him back then. He had a bleach blonde wig, I believe. He also played Julius Caesar on there, too. And so that's what I think about every single time I see him, with him and his little wings and his shirt off. It was awesome.
He had a shirt on far too often in the show so far. They're going to have to correct that.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then they need to do the same thing with Michael Ealy. I'm just saying.
Oh, my gosh. It was hard to get past anything but his really pretty eyes. But, you know, it was great, and I really liked the chemistry that they already jumped into, and the whole, what they were describing as the robo-bromance. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Well, let's talk about the first episode a little bit. So the first thing that I noticed is ever since Fringe, Fox has just taken more and more liberty with let's just throw gross stuff out there and graphic nature. I mean, his leg gets blown off and you actually see it, and I'm like, bleh! It's like, oh gosh. I like it though because it's more, I don't know, it's more real. And I really liked how it started off because it got my interest right away. I want to know what's going on with his girlfriend, or supposedly girlfriend, and you probably won't find out this season. Maybe at the end of the season. I don't know. What did you guys think about that?
There's a reason why she was an ex.
Yeah, I'm saying you didn't see the second episode yet, right?
Yeah, we saw that. I saw that.
We saw it.
Oh, okay,
second episode,
you did.
yeah, but
okay.
They didn't really
see what
explain
they're
it.
alluding
You
to.
don't know if that's what really happened, because
I think that they kind of were jumping in right away, so you don't have too much speculation as to what's going to happen, and the fact that he remembers seeing her basically during the, you know, when his leg got blown off.
Does he? I don't know. He's doing that thing, whatever he's doing to try to get his memories back. Because they said he was in a coma for how long?
17 months.
That's a ridiculous amount of time. And so he's doing this thing to get his memories back. But see, these images are kind of like overlaying each other, and I'm wondering if that's what he really saw. Because when they first showed it, it didn't look like it was a woman. Who was walking towards the camera in the smoke. Of course, you couldn't see really, but you know, maybe it was. I don't know. It's just real. I did not see that coming. Interesting, because a lot of shows today are just kind of, I don't know, predictable. This was not by any means. I like the characters. Emotionally, Carl Urban and Michael Ealy, they have like layers to them. Carl Urban's got, or his name is John.
John Kennick.
He's got, he's got issues with kind of going back to being a cop. It seems like he was off for 2 years. Was it 2 years, they said?
Yeah. Yes, 2 years.
So he has issues with that. He obviously has issues with his ex because she left him and then tried to kill him. So who wouldn't have emotional issues after that? He's got issues with these synthetics because one left him and his partner. And then you've got a synthetic and Michael Ealy who has like these emotional layers too, even though he's like a synthetic. Whereas he sees how other synthetics are treated, and you can tell it's bothering him. And he kind of, I think he has a problem trying to balance his, for lack of a better word, morality. He's not human, but he feels human, and he seems like he's scared of death. So I think it's really interesting. They hit you right off the bat with two very complex characters, which you don't always see on TV. So I'm appreciative of that.
Well, the other added layer to Carl Urban's character, John Kennick, is that he has an aversion just in general to synthetics because he was bitter about what happened in the raid, but also apparently his dad was used to having a human partner. So apparently he must have gotten a prejudice from the get-go about synthetics just in general.
Yeah, that's true. He did mention that.
Well, they do mention like he's basically like rejecting his own synthetic leg too. So yeah. It's just that he wants the whole human element, and he doesn't feel like if you don't have a human partner, you're not going to have somebody to really back you up, because the synthetics were all made to strictly follow procedure and do what's best for the whole, not for your partner. And that's why when they bring Dorian in, and he's already, willing to do stuff that the other synthetics won't, like when he leads them in to go find that other guy who was in the box.
Mm-hmm.
That was what happened to him, man. Seriously.
That was gruesome. That's a horrible way to die. And
I actually kind of like the fact that they didn't pull any punches and they made it kind of not overly graphic, but they were actually doing it to be like, this is what happened. We're not going to show you, like, it just fogs up and then you don't see anything.
Yeah.
So like you were saying with Fringe,
yeah, that
they were getting right into it. But J.H. Wyman was part of Fringe, and they actually have a lot of the writers and some of the special effects people too who worked on Fringe that came over for this one too.
That explains it. I don't know. I really liked the kind of atmosphere and the scenery as well. When he was in the Black Market District, I think they called it, that was straight out of Blade Runner for me. And I just watched Blade Runner for the first time, last month, and that's totally what it reminded me of. And then you've got where he works, which is Elysium. It looks so nice compared to what the Black Market Street is, and so I hope they get into that as well, showing the different class and societies, because I know that they mentioned it. I will be interested to see if they delve into that a little bit more. So he only takes one pill for all the problems that he has, where they say he had OCD and post-traumatic stress syndrome and depression, and he's got one little red pill. It reminded me of The Matrix. You can take the blue pill and live in your fantasy world, or you can take the red pill and come into reality. That's what that reminded me of. It was this big. He has all those issues, little pill.
I liked how they pulled from all the different shows. They pulled from Blade Runner, and you had that feel, and like you said, The Matrix, and you have all these different elements coming in with sci-fi, but that it isn't so far in the future that you wouldn't necessarily like recognize it. Like, we're not having all these flying cars, and we didn't go full Jetsons, like going into the future.
I like that. I do think this is a sci-fi show for sci-fi fans, and like you said, they're pulling from a whole bunch of different things, and so it works for me. I'm hooked.
So, just want to ask your opinions really quick on, do you think that them premiering it after the football games actually brought more people in? Because that's why they pushed the date. They were hoping to hook more people after the football games, and that's why they premiered it on the 17th.
Possibly. I think that it started before the game was over because I watch football. So I know I had to DVR it. When were they originally scheduled to air it? Was it like the 4th? I'm trying to look at the calendar. It was the 4th. It was on a Monday. Oh, It's Monday Night Football. Yeah, that was probably a good idea that they moved it. Yeah, but I haven't checked the ratings. Has anybody checked the ratings?
I actually had not seen the ratings on it yet. I know that they had a ton of people because I was live tweeting during the shows, and then my co-host was live tweeting during the second show. And there was just so many people online. And it was actually, because I believed it was trend. It was, I think, the #1 trend on Sunday after the football games, of course, once everything started. So it went up there pretty quick. And, I mean, you had enough people at least watching that it started to trend.
Well, it was definitely competing with Once Upon a Time for sure.
Yeah.
I was trying not to read the live tweets for Once Upon a Time. Because I'm like, I don't want to see what happens. I'm missing the show because I wanted to watch Almost Human, the premiere.
So, yeah, the second episode.
Yeah,
it's the second episode. I first of all, because I watched them back to back, and I was in a bad. The second episode put me in a bad mood right away, only because after the first episode, I was sitting there daydreaming about Michael Ealy and Carl Urban, and the first scene that pops up on the second episode is some woman in lingerie, and I'm like, ah! You just ruined like my whole dream. I was so angry.
But there was
that whole
the
episode. I mean, guys, I'm sure they loved it because
exactly. There was the hook. You got a whole bunch of guys into it right off the bat.
Yeah. But I was just like, oh man! I enjoyed the episode, but just right off the bat, I was like, just like that too. But that reminded me of Friends too. That whole episode and what happened with the synthetics and the mixing of human DNA, which is kind of gross.
It wasn't exactly mixing; it was just totally using it.
What?
Yeah, it was gross. But come on, you had some great lines in it.
Oh my gosh!
I think you know what I'm talking about when Dorian said you're kind of backed up.
Yeah.
I was laughing so hard.
Testicles are at full capacity.
I know, right?
I wasn't gonna say that.
I totally gonna say. I'll put a disclaimer. I'm sorry, whoever's watching, because we have one viewer. I completely apologize if you're offended by that.
I was laughing so hard when I seen that, and that's what, like, everybody was blowing that up on Twitter and everything, and
including
my co-host. Yeah, my co-host did. Her and her husband were watching, and so all of a sudden my phone starts blowing up, and it's like, you want the job to be Carl Urban's. Can't even say it. You want to have the job to be Carl Urban's personal testicle scanner, don't you? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, maybe it's better than where I'm working at right now, but I couldn't believe it. That was the funniest thing. I mean, you had the olive oil in the first episode,
yeah.
Which if you heard any of our podcasts, we've already talked about fanfic. And then we seen somebody talking about a whole bunch of people are trying to work in olive oil all of a sudden into this fanfic with them because there was nothing at that point. And now you're going to have, I don't know how many new fanfics talking about Don't ever scan my testicles again.
I know, right? That whole conversation was hilarious. He says, you scanned my balls. He said, I didn't enjoy it. I was on the ground. I was like on the ground. They play off of each other really well, I think.
I thought so too, because I love when he's teasing him later.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, detective.
He plays that part well, where he's just like like straightforward, but then he has these little comedic moments. He's right. They did a good job of casting.
I love them both together, and I have nothing but high hopes. And I really hope Fox don't make me cry and just like cancel it, because so many things on Fox don't make it. I'm sorry, but I'm hoping that this one does, because I have high hopes.
I think Fox has heard the grumblings of all us nerds, all us sci-fi nerds, and how they have single-handedly destroyed several TV shows, and they will not do it again. They're trying. They threw out all the stops. I think within the first couple of minutes of this, the pilot episode, I was like, this is the most diverse cast I've ever seen. Like in the first couple of minutes, in terms of the synthetics and the regular cast, and all the aspects that they pulled from different sci-fi things. I mean, they're really trying. I don't know who produced it. Is this J.J. Abrams? He does everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
it is the new J.J. Abrams. Mm-hmm.
I think they have a good producer, and I really think they're going to give it a go, and we need to support it. And it's on, what's his regular scheduled night? Is it Mondays or?
It's going to be Mondays, and then it's going to have Sleepy Hollow following right after. Because they're moving Bones, I think.
They are moving Bones, so they're going to put it on 8. It's got a good time too, because Sleepy Hollow already has a following. This probably has that was a really smart move, actually. Mondays, or my DVR is going to just blow up.
I already told them at work that I have to get off work by 5:30, and my boss is like, "Why? What's going on?" I'm like, I have a podcast, so I have to watch some stuff." So.
Yeah, that's always a good excuse.
Actually, it's funny because he follows our podcast, so he can't really say anything, and he knows all of what we're doing and all the other podcasts that I've been on, and the online magazine and the Facebook pages, and he's like, "What? You really want out of here, don't you?" I'm like, well, if somebody decides to pick me up nationwide, I won't have a problem doing this as opposed to going to work every day.
I know. I mean, how awesome would that be to do something that is like a hobby and get paid for it? So yeah, we totally got off topic there. So
sorry.
Plot-wise, solid plot, pilot, introduction to the characters, him getting back into it. Loved it. Second episode, the plot was more about just this one case, which I thought was an interesting case and kind of creepy at the same time, and I loved it. So I think 2 very strong episodes right off the bat. I don't know if they showed scenes from coming up or if they did all on this season instead of next episode. But it looks like the clips that they did show, it looks like it's gonna be pretty cool. I mean, I just hope they keep coming out with the great stories, just like Fringe, and I think they will. I mean, you said that they've got the same writers, and
yeah, they brought on a lot of the same team, which I really think they wanted the Fringe following anyway, because Fringe had a pretty huge following, and it was on for 6 or 7 seasons. I don't even remember now.
They tried to cancel it. And we kept bugging them, us Fringe fans. They kept trying to cancel it. And we were like, no, don't you dare, Fox, or I'll never trust you again.
And then we at least got the final season. We got to see it, actually, the first year. I was at Comic-Con when we were all in the panel in Hall H.
That was your first year?
Our awesome little observer hats. You weren't in Fringe? Is that what you said?
I was. No, I said that was your first year?
That was my first year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't get off topic. That's another show.
Sorry. So, I mean, I like that they gave it, that final send-off, and they gave us enough of it where you got a lot of story, and you got that last season. Where I'm hoping that they give us a whole lot of story with this, and don't decide to, Firefly us with one season.
Don't say it!
I don't want it to happen. I want this to stay on for a while because, I'm sorry, I think it's a really good show. And so far I'm not already getting mad at it like I did with Lost, even though it's a bad robot show. And I have, like I said, I have high hopes. J.J. Abrams, come on, J.H. Wyman, Carl Urban, Michael Ealy. I don't see where you can go wrong with this. And the cast in general, I think, is really good. And I just want more.
That's the credit to the storytelling, because they did do two really good episodes right off the bat, and I think they had strong characters. I think it had strong writing. I mean, they've got all the parts there. They have all the parts. We've only seen 2 episodes, but I'm hooked. I will watch it. I hope everybody else will, because we need to keep this on air.
I'm hoping.
So, you guys, any final thoughts on the 2 episodes?
I wanted that toy that the little boy got from Carl Urban, because that was a cool toy. The giraffe, yes. I want it, and I want it now.
You just tap it and it moves. Yeah, I totally.
Yeah, you tap it and it moves. It's like, okay, well maybe then some people will not get some of these animals as pets. They can just tap on the top of the head and it'll move for them like a real animal.
And then you don't have to worry about the cleanup.
Yeah, no cleanup. There you go.
He did a real good job with that kid, even though
he hates children and cats.
Yeah, scared children. So.
No, the cats are allergic to him. That's what that is.
I've been told the same thing, so I totally felt his pain.
No, yeah, all right, whatever.
I don't know. From the previews that we've gotten so far, it looks like it's just going to be completely action-packed for this season, and it looks like they will be doing the world building without just dedicating, the first few episodes where you're not getting anything but the world building.
Right.
So the dynamic is there. I really think it already has the following just in these first few episodes. So I think it's going to do phenomenal. Now that I say that, now I'm scared.
Go knock on wood, right? But I think you hit it the nail on the head when you said they didn't do the first 2 episodes with just world building. They managed to put in a story and do a little bit of world building. So I personally want to know more about the world, and I want to know more about the characters. So, I think they did it perfectly, just the perfect ratio, because I want to know more. I want more. Like, I'm looking forward to the episode next week. So, yay. Yay for story writing. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap up, but before we do, Shawn, why don't you tell everybody where they can find your podcast?
Wow. Okay. I'm part of the DVMPE.com. If you want to go on there, I am on the Almost Human podcast. You can click on my link from there. It takes you to iTunes. I am actually now part of the E-Files podcast because I've done a couple on there. It's got all my interviews up there from New York Comic Con. And Facebook, we're at Almost Human Cast. Twitter, we're at Almost Human Pod. And then Gmail is almosthumanpodcast@gmail.
All right, and we will post your links on our Nerd Element Facebook page as well. If you have any comments, guys, on this, you can comment below, or you can always, as usual, send us a tweet. I am at anime23, ANIME23, and Natasha?
At Willcat12, WILLCAT12.
And you could reach us both at the Nerd Element. So this was our special on Almost Human TV Talk with Natasha and Kim. Thank you, Shawn Alexander from the Almost Human podcast, for joining us today. And we will see you guys next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.